Okay, so let's build this application, photo shortlisting application. So what it really is, it is just an application that helps people shortlist multiple photos, shortlist some photos from multiple images. So that's what it is doing. So what's the pain point it is solving, or what's the motivation, or what's the purpose behind it? So let's talk about that. Pain points. So it's really hectic. As for an example, I recently got married, not recently, but around 9 to 10 months ago. But still, I have not selected the images for my wedding album. So now, instead of selecting photos, I am building an application to select that. Interesting. Okay, so now what we'll do is, so that was a pain point for me as well, and I also discuss with the photographer. It's a pain point for him as well. Why? Because he has to share the data either via hard disk or a cloud storage. He has to upload to the drive, and it's very hectic. He has to go back and forth. He has to travel with the hard disk, or if he has uploaded it on Google Drive, he has to ask whether you have downloaded the data, so he can delete that and free up some space, because obviously Google Drive is not free, unlimited storage is not free, we have to pay for. So that's why this is the application that's solving these pain points. And further, in the future, if everything goes well, we'll add more features to it. I've already listed down, but let's focus now on the MVP that we'll be building. What we'll be building is, we'll have few components in it. Like one component will be client side. So on the client side, we'll have an application that will help in selecting images. We'll have a page with list of all the images. We can see it as a catalog, and there on another page we can initiate a slideshow on which we can there will be a button, I think, of heart shape, or we can make it also a swipeable left or right, to swipe to select, or we can toggle a selectable button to select or unselect image for the application. That's also a pain point. Sometimes what the ways the clients select the photos are, either they copy the data multiple times, rather they have two copies of the similar data of all the images, and they on one copy they open the image viewer and try to delete all the unnecessary or not needed images. But there's a chance that you may want to review, or you may want to undo some steps. So then that's not possible, and obviously you have to be available on the system. All the person who are selecting has to be on the system. So by what this application will do is, the photographer has the data, he'll run our tool. This is the parser tool that we'll create. He'll run this parser tool, pass the path to our images that he has, and it will upload all the photos to the S3 bucket on our server. So that's what this parser is doing, and it will give a protected shareable link, which will be photographer, right. Here we can see it will generate a shareable link, so he can pass it to the client and it will be protected and no one else can see it. We'll add some authentication methods as well. So that's the way. So client can see all the photos, he can start selecting, and while selecting, what we'll do is we'll send a HTTP request with unique photos IDs. So we'll store all the data in the database, and we'll add more features to this parser which will help in sorting the selected photos. So he don't have to really communicate much with the client. He can generally see, okay, these photos are selected, and we'll also say complete selection completed button. So it will notify the photographer. So yes, that's the pretty much basic idea that we'll be building in this MVP. So what are the tools and technologies that we are using? We'll be using Go programming language. We'll use simple HTML, CSS, no fancy frameworks, JavaScript frameworks. Maybe in future we'll need React. If and only if it is really required, we'll use it. Otherwise, plain HTML, CSS and JavaScript is good to go. Okay, and for the database, maybe SQLite or MongoDB. We'll use either one of them. We'll start with SQLite, and for hosting, we'll simply deploy our Go binary on the EC2 instance. And for the cloud storage, for storing all these image files and other files also, we'll use the S3 bucket. And GitHub for the version control and CI/CD maybe later. But we'll start with really simple tools and technologies. We'll focus on solving the problem, not on the technology. That's it. Okay. We are done with the overview what we are building. Let's start with the application. Let's define main.go, and before defining the, let's initialize our project. So go init, go mod init, and let's do it like this: Kunal Duran /photos. So that's what we are building. Okay, everything looks good. Okay, now it's initiated. Package main, and here we'll define our HTTP server. So let me turn off my, disable this globally. Okay, so what we have in this, now let's take a look at how we can create a simple HTTP server using the package that's available in standard library. net/http, that's a standard library package that's available. Okay, so now we'll use http.listen and serve. This is the method available. Let's check the signature for this method. So in this HTTP package, we have this method. It accepts address and the handler. Okay, so we'll say let's start on 8000. Cool. For this handler, we don't need to define. We'll just pass nil. And in a way, we can say that's it. Now our HTTP server is created. We can run it like this: go run main.go, and our server is up and running. Okay, let's check this. Localhost 8000. Okay, we can see page not found, but our server is running. So what next? We need to define routes. http.handle func is the method available in which we can pass. Let's check the signature first of all. Handle func, it accepts a pattern, which will be our route, the resource locator. Okay, and the handler, this is the function. Check this function signature. It accepts two parameters, response writer and request. We'll have a look at this as well. So let's define on the home route. We'll say we'll define a function name index. Let's first of all do it like this. Okay, and we'll say http.response writer, and for the request, pointer to the http.request. Before moving on, before defining our functionality of the application, let's have a look at what these are. So http.response writer, this is an interface. This is not a concrete type. Okay, and what's this? This is a concrete type. This is a struct, and we are accepting a pointer. So response writer. So let's check what are the methods that this interface implements. Header, write, and you can read the description as well. Write header. So these are three methods. Any type which has these implementations, any type which implement these three methods is of type response writer. Okay, cool. Now let's do one thing. For print f. So this is a fump package which we have to import, fmt, which provides us some functionality to write to a standard output, or we can say the type io.writer. It can be a file, it can be standard output, any type which implements this io.writer interface. Okay, so this, because why it accepts w, let's first of all define this. We'll say hello world. Okay, good. So why this fprint accepts w, which is of type response writer? Because this response writer implements the method known as write. Okay, we can check as well in the IO package Golang. Let's check what's io.writer. io.writer, right, type, here it is, io.writer. This is an interface that implements this method, write, type parameter, slice of byte, and it returns n number of bytes written or whatever it represents according to your type, and it returns the error. So this is also because this response writer implements this method, write, accepts slice of byte, returns integer and error. So this w is also of io.writer. Okay, so now let's rerun our server and check if everything is working. Okay, now we can see hello world, everything is up and running. Okay, let's first of all define a method where we'll see. Okay, before writing any logic, let's get back to the requirements. That's also really important. So pain point, motivation, purpose, pain point, same thing. Okay, let's check. First of all, what we are building is, we are building the server which will implement these client-side functionalities, show all selected images. So we have to implement a route. We have already implemented that route. So we'll return a HTML page to show all the images, and there we can have a toggle button or a tab switch where the user can see all, or switch to selected tabs where they can see all the images that they have selected. Okay, then a slideshow. You have to create another HTML page for it. And third thing is selection completed button. Okay, this will implement later. Okay, that's good. Okay, so let's quickly create a templates folder and create a index.html. This is a boilerplate code. Let's say not h1, photo shortlisting application. Now simply one point I want to mention is, we are not initially particularly we are not looking at the best practices, or we are not focusing on writing very optimized or efficient code first of all, we are focusing on the correctness. Everything should work as expected. Not everything, but the main functionality should work. We'll handle the edge cases later. So this template dot must, this is implemented by this template HTML, no, wait, HTML slash template. So this is the standard library that's available. So template dot must is available. This is the function that returns, that panics if the inner function does not compile. Okay, so template dot parse files. So we'll pass the file template slash index.html. So that's what we are passing. Okay, it's returning this type, template.template, and an error, which is exactly this template.must requires. Let's rerun everything and check if our page is running. No, it's not running. Why? Index, why this is not running? Template parse files, templates index.html. File name is correct, templates index.html. Why this is not running? Elements, okay, so it is working, but there is some issue. It's not showing body. Why it's not showing body? Localhost 8000. No, actually this is not rendering our application. Okay, wait. So there's some issue with this. Let me check what's the HTML slash template parse files. Okay, foolish me. So it returns a template.template, a pointer to template.template, and what we have to do is we have to execute this .execute and pass the response writer and the data that we want to pass. In this case, we don't have any data to pass. Or let's say we have a data, we have some data, and let's pass this. Not a very cool variable name, but still, let's do this. Let's create a struct title string, and we'll declare it. Title will be short, rather let's say photo. So that's what we are doing, data, and in this index.html we can declare it like this. So we have this data available and we want to access the title field of title field. Okay, that's cool. Photo shortlisting application, and we can see the dynamically data that we have passed is shown here. Okay, that's great. Okay, let's continue in next session.